Welcome to the 113th edition of Make Pro Wrestling Majestic again. I am Tigerhite.
And I am still your Majestic Champion, Peanut Gallery.
We are not going to be covering NXT's show for this week. It will be next week.
Yes,
So,
we'll be doing that along with SummerSlam. Also, I'm looking at the camera. Very interesting way that you have that set up.
yeah, well, the thing broke.
Oh.
So, yeah, the attachment on my ring light broke off. So I'm using the smaller stand because I can wrap it around, and that's kind of how the camera is. So I'm going to get on my soapbox.
That's cool.
I mean, it works. It still works.
Right, it does. Anyways, let's go to your soapbox. What happened on television this week?
So the ratings were kind of all over the place as it relates to it, and there was just some interesting stuff that happened. So Raw was a 1.818 million down from 1.855, and the demo is exactly the same. It was 0.57. So kind of hovering within that area. They need to bump it up a little bit, though.
I think people are just waiting for the go-home show for SummerSlam at this point, honestly.
I mean, it really is that. I don't like... Now, Dominic has defended the NXT North American Champion again on Raw, but once again, I still believe that it is overall a positive to promote NXT.
Yes.
And Dominic having a belt is always a good thing.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing right now and the situation as it relates to the tag team champions is kind of up in the air because Kevin Owens is hurt.
Yes.
What does that mean for the tag team champions? I don't know.
Well, the tag team champions weren't really doing anything.
Yeah, they weren't. That's the other thing. It's like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They won it, but what big rivalries have they been doing since winning the tag team champions? Nothing.
Right.
Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn will be teaming against Judgment Day. It felt more like a structured show over the last couple of weeks. It just seemed like glorified house shows, but this one sort of felt more like a Raw.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, it's July. People are going to be out of town or whatever the case may be. Maybe they don't want to put as much investment into just producing quality content. Also, because SummerSlam is around the corner, the matches are already set,
I mean, obviously, they're still getting great numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, this is up from, I think, like 1.5 million same time last year.
Yeah.
So there's obviously more interest within wrestling in general. But this show seemed just, like I said, a little more put together. I really liked it. Ludwig Kaiser, that was the other thing. So Corey Graves did a spot-on impression of Ludwig Kaiser on commentary, and people were upset of him about it. I'm like, I legitimately thought that Ludwig Kaiser was commentating on his own match. It was spot-on. I was so impressed. But other than that, there just wasn't really a whole lot going on there. Rhea Ripley destroyed Liv Morgan. We had a Seth Rollins-Finn Balor contract signing that sort of ended up like this. So a lot of the same, but, it's still fine.
Right, it's fine.
It's fine. NXT.
All right, this is your go-home show for tonight's show.
Yep, 703,000 compared to 746, and
Jesus.
It was a 0.23 instead of a 0.21.
Wow. 746,000. Did that beat Dynamite?
No.
Oh,
Dynamite did like 900.
Oh,
but
okay.
it was close.
It was, yeah.
But there's a reason why Dominic is the champion right now. And those numbers are the reason for it. There's obvious interest in NXT. Now, it fell slightly. As long as maybe if they keep it at 700,000, they will eventually beat Dynamite again.
Right.
For the first time ever. It's like this is the developmental, and somehow you are beating, the developmental is beating your A show. Like, what's going on here? There was, I don't know. This show felt kind of weird. The Gable Steveson, Baron Corbin setup was fine. This little segment here, because it was essentially a brawl between Ilya and Trick Williams. I liked it, but at the same time, it just feels like the NXT champion scene is not where it was in the past.
No.
It felt more important, to be honest with you, when Braun Breaker was champion.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact, this is the first pay-per-view that Braun Breaker will not be a part of since his debut and since the rebranding of NXT. Like, he's been basically main eventer for that entire time.
I don't know. It just kind of feels, well, the draft always does that. It takes a lot away because a lot of people are being called up or being called different rosters. And, the whole free agency thing kind of doesn't make sense. But
well, because you have Judgment Day showing up on 3 different shows when they weren't the free agents. They were just standard drafted to Raw. So you're right, it doesn't make any sense. The one thing that I will give a lot of credit for was Dana Brooke and Cora Jade. They had a kendo stick match, and we dogged on them on their absolutely awful match. They redeemed themselves on the show. This was a much better match, and it showed a lot more finesse. Von Wagner, I cannot believe he is being cheered. He is actually starting to get over with this crowd. I have no idea what happened.
I don't know. Maybe Von Wagner is actually improving.
I mean, he is. I'm going to give him credit. He's flowing a lot better.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot better with mic time. He's getting a lot better with his presentation and his presence in general. So I like it. I'm hoping they continue on with this, and I want to see maybe if they can bring in other people into the Robert Stone brand, because it's basically only been Von.
Right.
And if Robert Stone's involvement and the rub from this new babyface Von Wagner can maybe get somebody else over that they're interested in, I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. It'd be an interesting dynamic. But, there just wasn't really a whole lot outside of that, outside of those things that were really there. Dominic and Rhea were there in NXT, but Rhea had a match. So, and it was actually a fine match with Lyra Valkyria. So it was not bad. And the brawl was good. So there you go. Oh, Dynamite.
Okay, so that's a caveat. One of these matches, and you know which match this is going to be,
yes,
dear viewers, which match we are going to be reviewing for our bad match this week.
We will be covering it more in depth, but the match between Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie was absolutely atrocious in almost every single way, and the reaction online made it even worse. So,
but we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But let's talk about the rest of Dynamite.
This was the most random show ever. The main event was this three-way tag team match that meant absolutely nothing to nobody. It's just so bad. Like, this was not a great Dynamite. It was 952,000 last week. It dropped to 898 this week. A huge drop. And it was a .29 demo of a .34. So,
Jesus Christ.
Well, they had blood and guts last week.
Well, yeah.
So there was obvious interest in that, but there was no follow-up to basically anything from that blood and guts, at all. There was no Kota Ibushi. There was no Kenny Omega. There was no Elite. And I'm almost convinced that the Elite will not be at all in. And if they are not at all in, I think they're out the door. Like, legitimately, yeah. But if they leave, it's the death of the company. That is the lifeblood of the company. It hurt them overall when Cody Rhodes left.
Oh, yeah.
Think if the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega left. That would not be a good thing. And nobody else is that lifeline. Zero.
Right.
MJF is your world champion, but he does not feel like a world champion.
I know. I keep forgetting that he's a world champion.
Yeah, he is the face of the company. I do like that they're putting more of an emphasis on other stars, though. So they did a lot with AR Fox joining Mogul Embassy, which I am okay with, because he really needed to do something. And if they really want to promote him, it's not a bad way to do it.
They still have an overbloated as fuck roster,
though. Absolutely. I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot there to say about at all. Pac versus Gravity. It was a fine match, but once again, this whole Gravity thing.
It's weird.
We need to stop with him. Like, the whole stepping like you're on the moon is kind of getting old already. It's like, he's a good wrestler, brother of Bandito.
Yeah.
He's the younger brother of Bandito.
Yeah.
So
did he ever compete as anybody else in other promotions?
I think he was Gravity. I think he's been Gravity the whole time.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I don't know a whole lot with the Bandito family, but I do know that they are related.
Well, we should. I'll do some research later. Anyways.
Yeah, we'll do it later. So, Impact. So, I did not find anything, but as it relates to good news, Slammiversary was the most purchased pay-per-view that Impact ever had.
Even during their TNA days.
Yeah, even in their TNA days. Also, the highest attendance out of any TNA pay-per-view. So that is quite exciting.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy about that.
I wonder if they're going to start doing it in larger arenas, perhaps.
I'm hearing that they're looking at possibly, arenas.
Yeah.
Maybe more not concert halls, but big convention center spaces. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But I love Impact. It's this little sleeper company that's just doing better and better every single week. The follow-up here with the Design and Eric Young, it looks like they're going to be doing a rivalry with that, which I am okay with.
Yeah.
I think This is what Diener was missing.
Yes.
He was missing the follow-up to basically his biggest venture. And we need more people within the design because the only person now is Khan.
Right.
They got to get somebody else in there. I have no idea why they decided to have Alan Angels leave the group. It just didn't make any sense.
Well, I guess we're just trying to kind of leave that era behind because the design's been around for a couple of years at this point in some sort of fashion, So maybe it's just time for that kind of that cycle to kind of wean itself off. Kind of like the bloodline. Like the bloodline is fracturing. It's been a long time, but this is just a cycle of tag teams.
Yeah, but the bloodline has been incredibly successful, and Violent by Design was. Yeah. But it was a lot better under Eric Young. It's like the design.
So I think what they're doing is they're just going to try and end that whole saga.
But the issue here is that with the design, it was the perfect opportunity to get Diener as something more than what he was. But it's just like he just became the leader, and it just stinted. Yeah. It's like nothing moved outside of Sami Callihan.
And that's why they want to end it.
I know. Well, that's their fault. That's not the wrestler's fault. That's their fault. They had the opportunity to push Diener, and they didn't.
Well, again, this is just how production goes.
They should have had freaking titles. I don't know why they never gave them titles.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Brian Myers and Moose have a very weird dynamic. I do not like it whatsoever. They just look like such a thrown together tag team, but they've been tagging for like 2 months now, and I don't like it. Johnny Swinger and Ziggy Dice had a freaking awful match. I mean, absolutely garbage match.
Yeah, we were, Tigerhite was debating between that match and the match we're going to be watching, but
this one was almost intentionally comedic.
Yeah.
It was not
meant
to be good. Well, of course,
it's Ziggy Dice.
Here's the issue.
It's Johnny Swinger.
It's not Ziggy Dice, it's Johnny Swinger.
Right. It's supposed to be
Ziggy Dice was approached by WWE and AEW because remember, him in NWA, he was quite popular.
Yeah.
And he did good matches. So he's been with Impact for a really long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, he signed with Impact
who's
before pandemic.
Who's the one that lost that match? Was that
Ziggy Dice?
Oh, okay. Ziggy Dice lost. So I guess Ziggy Dice might be getting an offer here soon from one of these two promotions.
Or going back to the NWA where he was really popular, especially if Tyrus is going to be fucking off here. They do need more star power. And Ziggy Dice, not as big as Tyrus, not in front as many eyes as Tyrus is, but Ziggy Dice does have some semblance of star power because he's been constantly working.
Or maybe WWE or AEW would just take him up on an offer. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that was Impact. There was not really a whole lot that happened after that. Anyway, SmackDown. I did not get numbers, but keep in mind, these numbers are because they were on FS1. Last week, they did a 1 point...
not last week, the week before.
The week before, excuse me. The week before, they did a 1.230 million and a 0.36. FS1, people. It's a much different channel.
Yep. Not as many households get it, et cetera, et cetera.
It's very focused. But it was a good show. I liked it. Jey Uso and Grayson Waller had a good match. I really did like it. A little too much bloodline, and it's starting to get a little stinted. It's like we need to continue to evolve this storyline. And I know it's kind of rocking a hard place because obviously Jey Uso is the next contender. How much more can they do with it at this point?
Right.
The pay-per-view is stinting the bloodline fraction. They can't do more of fracturing out because it's so close to a major pay-per-view.
Well, word is that The Rock is going to be appearing at SummerSlam, so that might set up a rivalry between The Rock and Roman Reigns. It's going to be a non-title rivalry, but the idea is maybe Roman Reigns and The Rock have a program going forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, Reigns does not need this title anymore.
No,
he really doesn't, and I think who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe Jey Uso is the guy, and then they start building Roman Reigns' Rock at WrestleMania. I just don't know what they're going to be doing. Unless The Rock is facing Reigns for the title at Mania, but I feel like that would be a hugely wasted opportunity.
Yeah, it would be. Because then you leave the door open for Cody.
What about the Royal Rumble? What about the person who wins the Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank? It's like, Damian Priest is not cashing in on either one of those two.
Right.
But still.
Anyways,
the Rey
speculation.
Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar had an unfortunate injury. I do not know the extent of Rey's injury.
So I just actually looked it up today. The injury is not as bad as initially feared.
Okay. because his head bounced off
Yes.
the ground. It was a whiplash. I'm assuming they were assuming concussion of some sort. But Santos was going to win anyway, so it doesn't matter. He was extremely popular.
Santos Escobar is kind of a sleeper.
I think he should be the guy to take the title off of Theory. Theory needs to do something else.
Yes.
I want him to face LA at SummerSlam, but that's just me. Or LA's the one to take the title off of Santos, because Santos might be the transitional champion.
Right.
Because technically LA Knight is a heel. LA Knight absolutely eviscerating Hit Row was the best thing, especially when he got to B-Fab. That was fantastic. It was awesome. I see her looking at LA Knight, getting tingle in her loins. I'm like, whoa, hold on. It was really funny. I love it. He continues to be incredibly popular, and this is why I am not worried about him being in this SummerSlam Slim Jim sponsorship battle royal. Because they need the interest, and LA Knight can literally kick a baby in the face in the middle of the ring, and he will still be cheered. So,
Well, there we go. All right, let's move on to...
well, that's how popular he is.
Let's move on to the show I keep forgetting exists.
So,
Collision.
Collision, despite Peanut Gallery saying that, and despite the fact that, once again, the ratings went down, 618,000 people watched. This is not from this last week, the week before. And it was a 0.18 demo. Despite that, weirdly, I enjoyed, this is the second or third week, I enjoyed Collision more than Dynamite, like by a substantial mile. The Tag Team Championship match was very good. The tease of breaking up, what are they called, Better Than You, Baby, was good, and when they hugged, people lost their minds. They're really gravitating towards this Adam Cole MJF thing, and it's quirky, but once again, you're world champion.
Right.
Now.
Well, it's because AEW doesn't have an established world title picture.
Yeah. Now, CM Punk taking the title and spray painting the X on it is a good way to reintroduce that big issue that they had. CM Punk never lost the world champion. Right. And if they want to do a big match at All In, obviously CM Punk is being booed right now. MJF is getting cheered as a babyface. And they have great matches. So let's do it again. Let's do title for title, undisputed, done. Like that's just the most obvious conclusion. Punk talking was good. And really there wasn't a whole lot here. The ladder match was... It was fine, but it's like you guys are killing each other for a mask that wasn't even attached to Andrade El Idolo's family. And I brought this up before, but I'm going to do it again here. They should have had like Las Sombras mask or something up, because it's just a skull mask that you basically get at Spirit Halloween on discount for $20.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. But FTR is continuously putting over just amazing tag team matches.
Well, of course.
I mean, Collision is really starting to get an identity, and it's so unfortunate that it's in this death nail slot. I don't watch it live. Right. I don't want to watch it on Saturday. We have things to do.
Right.
I want to enjoy my Saturdays. And people are like, oh my God, it's a show on Saturday. Yeah, they had to compete this last week with a huge UFC card.
Yeah.
You think they're going to do better than 600,000 in a 0.1 whatever, a 0.18?
Right. 0.18, yeah. Everyone was watching the fight. I mean, that's what we were doing. So,
yeah.
And then next weekend, they're going to be competing with fucking SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Actually, not technically, because SummerSlam is in... No, SummerSlam is here. It's in Detroit.
SummerSlam in Detroit.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is in Detroit.
So they're going to be competing head-to-head.
They're competing with SummerSlam. Do you legitimately think somebody's going to choose AEW over SummerSlam? Who would choose AEW over...
AEW neckbeards will.
So, yeah, they're in denial. It's like, we don't care about the casuals. You should care about the casuals. The casuals are going to keep this shit on television.
Right.
The executives, they don't give a shit about you. They give a shit about the casuals. The more people that watch it, the more money they make. The more money they make, the more they're invested. And guess what? The only reason this show exists is because of CM Punk. Yep. And it's clear that CM Punk is not a draw anymore.
Right.
Or he was not a draw at all.
Right.
Like, seriously. So, that's my soapbox. Kind of a weird week for wrestling overall. When we come back, we're going to be watching the bad match, but we have a discussion that follows up.